All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? I want to start out with, like I normally do. I want to thank everybody that's going to watch, that's going to be involved. Um, hey, do us all a favor. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share the videos. Hit the like buttons. Do all that good stuff. And US Art all day, every day. Support them. It's what's needed, especially if you have anything to do with the reptile hobby. If you like fucking goldfish, if you like ferrets and shit, all right. If you like to keep any of that, you need to become a member of US Art. Spread the fucking word. Let's do this. Uh, so I think majority of a lot of people have seen the video um, that I put up, a couple days ago with Tom Crutchfield. That was a shit show. So I want to talk a little bit about that. Because I was trying to get a certain point across, and not trying to change. I wasn't trying to change his mind about nothing or whatever, but just trying to get a point across. Um, and then there's some stuff going on in the community. Uh, some of y'all might know what's going on. Some of y'all may not. We'll get into that a little bit later. But anyhow, Chip, you saw the video, right, with Tom, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did, and everything you said, it was right. You were correct. And also, I want to start off with saying "fuck you, Chip." Okay, want to just get that out of the way. Um, all right. So the thing about it is, when it comes to that video and stuff like that, some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff that he says or that he's trying to get across or that he's trying to push on people, whatever. I think most people get it and understand and half-ass agree with him. Uh, I can't speak for everybody, but like I was trying to say in the video, from when I started dealing with retics years and years and years ago, and I know Chip, uh, he he can confirm this because he was doing the same shit. Um, we knew very little. We were shit keepers, plain and simple. And
Well, hold on. I just I have a cat upstairs, and it's got a bell on its neck, and it likes to sleep a lot. Did you know that? Did you know that?
no, I did not.
Okay, go ahead.
You're gonna smart ass. And if you don't know what he's doing, go watch the fucking video. Uh, anyhow, the majority of keepers have been doing this. Uh, I think, I think like most of us, like for me, I'm always wanting to be better. I'm always wanting to do better with the animals and everything, no matter what it is. Whether it's helping my children with their corn snakes or the bearded dragons or whatever the case, I'm always wanting to keep my animals better, try to keep them healthier, have them, make their life better. A lot of us, we have a true passion. We really, really love these animals. They're not just a dollar sign. We don't have them just to breed and this and that. And even people that are all about breeding and stuff, that especially now today, uh, we just, the most of us keep the animals better. A lot of people are buying bigger cages now. A lot of people are building bigger cages, and it just comes across like, oh, I'm triggered. He's triggered. Mister fucking, that's his favorite fucking word. I'm not mad or upset or anything like that, because at the end of the day, he can do whatever he wants. I'm a firm believer of freedom of speech and the Constitution and all that shit. But I'm not. Let's not get into that. But I'm just saying, talk whatever you want. Do whatever you want. I really don't give a shit. But he is in the reptile community, right? And he has a large following. And unfortunately, people think he's some kind of fucking god, and he's not. Far from it. I'm not necessarily trying to talk bad about the man or anything like that, but he's not. Uh, I don't. That's my opinion. He's not a fucking god, and he'll post. his memes, posting memes is evidently education. I don't know how that works out, but whatever. Um, whatever makes them happy. Um, a lot of people, when we start talking, or when they start talking about the cages and stuff like that, is usually people that don't deal with large constrictors of any kind. It's a opinion that they have. Um, and always, like 9 times out of 10, Jay will get brought up. Leave that man alone. Or go fuck with him. But Jay, and I'm not talking bad about Jay. I like Jay. And that's his shit, and he can do whatever he wants to. But 9 times out of 10, he gets brought up, and pictures and videos and shit like that get brought up. And yeah, look at we're not. I'm not Jay. Chip's not. That's his shit. Most of I don't know anybody that's dealing with large constrictors beside that's doing what he's trying to do or doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? So my issue is that it's the community gets targeted or whatever, and we all get like put in together with what somebody else is doing. I don't know if that makes any sense. It makes sense in my mind. I don't know if I'm conveying it correctly or anything like that, but that's what I was trying to explain to the man. But I'm triggered. I'm triggered as fuck. Whatever. Just trying to have a fucking conversation with him and trying to I guess just say what a lot of us are thinking when we see his shit that he does. Go ahead, Chip. I'm getting irritated right now, and he ain't go ahead.
Well, real quick, I purposely did not want any part of that for a couple reasons. One, as a lot of people know, me and him do not like each other in one single bit. We have not for many years. I have not liked him for 20 plus years. He has blocked me on Facebook and other social media accounts. Of course, he'll now tell you he doesn't know who I am, I guarantee you, which that's bogus. But he trash talks a lot, and when you bring up that evidence that's clear as day, he acts like it's 1975 and he knows everything. Because he claims to be follow the science, but it's follow Tom science. Tom science only. And he trash talks Americans all the time, like he's some worldly individual. And his delusional claims of animals is outrageous to me. Especially with the amount of reptiles that man's been around. Just it's asinine to keep portraying these animals in a certain way with sizes. He told a story on multiple podcasts about how he sold a wild-caught animal to Serpent Safaris, a man named Lou who used to own it. And anybody in Illinois that's lived in Illinois for 30 years, which is a lot. There's a lot of retic keepers here that know about it. Gurney Mills Mall.
Know about it.
Right, yeah, Gurney Mills Mall, right by Serpent Safari with a little cafe right there. Anybody that loved reptiles in Illinois, any reptile keeper whatsoever, but mostly the large constrictor keepers of Illinois have been up to that place multiple times. Lou had some very big animals. I mean, he had big crocs, big gators, big anacondas. They were big animals, but they were greatly exaggerated for size. And it was publicity stunt. Most of those animals are now up in what is left that's still alive are up in Wisconsin at Alligator Alley. But the particular animal in question that he wanted to go off about being a wild-caught mean killer snake, he told the story which was completely wrong in exactly what happened. I mean, this is a very well-known story. And he's also talking about a head that's larger than 12 inches long. I would love anybody to show me any proof anywhere on this planet of a retic that has a 12-inch long head. Anywhere, ever. Give me a bones. Give me anything. Give me a mount. Give me a skin. It's so greatly exaggerated, it's not even funny. But he exaggerates these animals and he paints them in a bad light. But then he'll go around and say that he's all for the animals and then he wants everybody to have one and keep them properly. But he's not for the keeper, he's not for the industry, because he paints a lot of shit in the bad light and then claims that you don't understand the animal like I understand the animal. You got to do this, you got to do that. Well, the people that do that are trying to make the animal look good, and then he'll say, these are man eaters, these are killers, these are dangerous things, and blah, blah, blah. And it's no different than somebody that keeps dogs or has kept pit bulls, but will turn around and say, pit bull's going to eat your baby. It's the same difference. We know it's all BS hype. You got to learn to understand an animal. He is correct. You have to cage an animal properly and understand an animal properly. He is correct. You want to do better for the animal. But when you paint a broad picture and fill bullshit lies about everything else, 30-foot animals, 25-foot animals, all this other crap, it's absolutely nauseating. And myself and multiple other people have talked to him and tried to explain to him how our evidence and our research and our proof about how big these animals get, how long they live in captivity in the wild, how they interact, and what sizes are realistic. He shuts you down and says, I've forgotten more about retics than you could ever know, you're an idiot. And then he calls American keepers. Well, a European keeper who is probably the foremost expert in 20-foot reticulated pythons that I know of, he blocked him too. And he loves to bring up the claim, have you been to Asia? If I know people that live in Indonesia, interact with these animals, or constantly are in Indonesia, and that are doing research with these animals or importing these animals, if they're giving me this information with proof, pictures, everything else that they know about these animals, I don't care that you were in Indonesia in the 80s. I don't care. Science evolves. We found out all this stuff. And Tom wants to be the ultimate end-all be-all when he has got a track record for being a piece of shit. And it's just the fact of...
Hey, there's children maybe watching.
Okay.
Fuck.
Well, you know, you can't sweep that under the rug and then claim you're doing better for all the animals. And then when people are trying to tell you something that's new and different, you're not going to agree with it and still bring up old data. It's just horseshit. You're in it for yourself and you're trying to make yourself look like the martyr. And he's constantly doing this. This is consistent, Tom. Consistent. And I'm sure he's got people watching. I'm sure he's going to hear this. I have no problem going back and forth with that man. But he's blocked me. He sends either his wife or other people to make comments for him. And that's great, because you don't want to face the facts. You'd rather have somebody else do it. And a lot of knowledgeable, smart people want nothing to do with him. And he is not the end-all, be-all of importers or smugglers or guys that have started herpiculture that came out of Florida. He is one of very many. And he trash talks others that are down there that disagree with him, that are as old as him or older. So I knew it was going to be like talking to a brick wall, which it was. And I just didn't want any part of it. And plus, I'm pretty sure the way I am, and if he didn't recognize me right away, when we started talking, he'd figure it out and he would have ended it. And I didn't want to do that to James. So I watched it. I did all the other stuff for it. But Tom paints a bad light. And it's not good for our hobby. Is he correct about better animal keeping? Yes, just like James said. He's not incorrect about that. He's 100% right. I do not disagree with him. But when your state is completely restricted on reptile keeping and laws after laws, and the nation is coming down on reptile keepers. Um, Save that bullshit for another day, especially when people are watching you in all forms of government and legislation because you're Tom Crutchfield and you have a record and you have a
art to me. I don't know.
large reptile farm, and it's just on this. There's going to be many rants from me in this video, but on the Tom, I will just end it on that. I take Tom with a grain of salt. Most of the stuff he says about large constrictors, 99% of it can be disproven. The care, he's correct on. Their intelligence, he's correct on. But everything else, he just pulls stuff out of his butt. For instance, I will say one more thing. Easy Proof with his exaggerations on sizes of animals. There is a couple videos on his YouTube and on other people's of this supposed 12-foot boa constrictor that he keeps on his property to this day. Dave Palumbo, really good reptile keeper in Florida, visited him and pulled this 12-foot animal out. Dave Palumbo is close to 6 foot tall. He's holding this animal, and I encourage people to go tell me how in the world this boa is 12 feet long. That's all I'll say about that.
Like I said, I get my main thing or my main issue with it is everybody, everybody has their right to their opinion and all that stuff, 100%. And like I said, my main thing is that when if you say you don't even you see something that he posts, right, and you don't post, you just read the comments. All these people, oh, he's 100% correct and everything like that, and they probably have. I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of them probably have very little experience with large constrictors and stuff, and all this other shit. And then once again, we get clumped in with certain people, and that's just irritating. And then as all this is this is going on, he's still got boas and fucking other reptiles in rack systems and 4 foot or smaller fucking visions and everything, and that's perfectly fucking fine. But it's not. It's fucking not. It's like if you're gonna if this is what you're going to for the rest of your life, try to preach and everything, then then fucking do everything. Practice what you preach with fucking everything. Uh, you know, I that's what a lot of us have an issue with. You know, um, and he says, I was trying to ask him about this and that, when it comes to that kind of thing, and uh, uh, his main reply was that he has memes, that he posts memes. So he's got a meme of a baby croc, and then if you can't, don't buy this if you don't have whatever, shit like that. Well, that's not really. That's so fucking irritating and stupid. Um, in my opinion. Um, but no, that's and then somebody replied. I don't know who it was. Don't give a fuck. But they replied and was like, yeah, you have to put everybody in a, put all y'all in together or some shit like that. It's like, no, fuck that. No, because I guarantee you, like Chip, he he's got retics and shit, and that we may keep things similar, but I'm sure there's things that are different and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense or not. That shit.
No, it absolutely does.
It's it's just frustrating, and nobody the people that follow him and think that he's a god and that his words are 100%, it's just whatever he says goes, you know it's very irritating, you know. It's just it triggered and everything like that. No, because I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Chip's gonna keep doing what he's doing. Uh, everybody's gonna keep doing what they're doing, and I can guarantee you that all of us are, uh, majority of us, most of the people that I know, we're always trying to better ourselves and better our animals, you know. So I
Well, yeah, and it drives me nuts, but it kind of transitioning away from Tom, but also being part of Tom, because 20 minutes on Tom, I think that's more than he deserves. I truly believe he's a waste of space, and I'll say it one more time. There's plenty of old school herpers down in the South and in other places that are more legitimate, more knowledgeable than him. And they aren't on social media. They don't need to be. But if you met them in person or you go to their places, they would help you out in a heartbeat. But they don't want to be involved in the shitstorm of the internet. Tom just likes to be vocal and likes to be in the spotlight. How many different TLC and Discovery shows has he been on? All this other stuff, and it's not just about snakes; it's about other things or reptiles and other things. He just wants to be in the spotlight more. He loves the attention, which that's why I don't want to give him too much more.
Just because you're on fucking TV doesn't mean you fucking know everything.
Right. But we've got other people in the hobby that are spreading misinformation that have got a ton of followers. And because they're good at editing YouTube videos or they're good at making YouTube videos a lot. I'm not going to name names because they weren't on this podcast, but pretty much everybody can figure it out. I'm focusing on the big snakes here. A lot of your really popular reptile channels, not necessarily snake channels, but reptile channels in general, will demonize reticulated pythons. You got really, really popular million-plus subscribed people that live in Florida that will make retics and other animals look horrible. And when you've got that many people having eyes on you, most likely they aren't other keepers. They're people that are looking for entertainment. And they're getting their facts and information from your entertainment. And it's really disturbing to see this. And we don't have enough people in our own community showing retics in the right way. So therefore, a majority of people, even in the reptile community, will demonize reticulated pythons for no other reason than their favorite reptile keeper has demonized them in some way, shape, or form. And on the other part, you've got people that think they're experts in retics that have barely been around them in the big scheme of things. You got people misidentifying reticulated pythons. And somebody might say, watching this video, like, well, if they're talking about them or if they keep them, so what if they misidentify a locality or what if they misidentify a size or whatever? Because it is a big deal. You should know everything you possibly can about the animals that you have in your possession. And on the size thing, I'm always harping on it because so many people lie and exaggerate and believe the BS. And bring up Medusa, which she is not a Sulawesi, even remotely close to that. Anybody that knows anything about locality retics can take one look at her and see that. She's not even a pure locality animal. That animal was purchased from a breeder and raised. That animal is nowhere near 25 feet long. Guinness constantly exaggerates their claims on their reptiles over and over again. But But if you can't identify a locality and you just go off of what you're told instead of doing research, and you keep harping on a certain locality that you think you know everything about, you are spreading misinformation. And it really bothers me in this day and age because we have so much information on our fingertips. And you've got people that don't understand anything about reticulated pythons that keep them or have a reptile channel and don't handle them, call them chainsaws. I just saw in another video, you know, calling them man eaters or killers or whatever. And it just astonishes me because I've been a proponent for a very long time that if you know the animal and you treat the animal correctly, you're going to be absolutely fine with that animal no matter how big it gets. You understanding these animals. But with everything that's been going on, you know, I've pretty much taken over reticulated pythons worldwide, and James is an admin in the Retic Nation. I've been saying this. If you go back in our videos, I've been saying this for a very long time. And this, I said, I have evidence, proof. It's no BS. Please listen. But you have people that are in these groups that are sneaking in that are not keepers. They're part of HSUS. They're part of PETA. They're part of all these organizations that want to take our rights away. And the more you post and the more you egg them on, the more evidence they get against us. And they're trying to catch people all the time. They're taking screenshots. They're taking people's advice and screenshotting what they're telling other people. They're starting stuff. And if you want to show improperly kept animals or paint an animal in a negative light, they take it and run with it. They go after people. This just recently happened with a crazy person to a very big name. And they refused to show evidence, but they got PETA involved. And they got HSUS involved. I just had a guy that I booted from my group because he was asking how much a fine was for keeping a reticulated python illegally. You're baiting people. We know, we can see what you're doing. You got to catch these people. Mind your P's and Q's and show these animals in a great light and show how to keep them the right way. But nobody's been listening to me. Everybody thinks I'm some jerk off that just likes to go on rants or a hater. But this is unfolding.
Hold on real quick. I just want to say something about that. The problem, and I say this all the time because a lot of people watching, y'all might be like, well, you know, or think that I'm more quiet or whatever. I'm very blunt. I really am. I'm pretty much. I'm like him. I just let him fucking talk. You know what I mean? And what he's saying is true. But I'm saying all this. I'm saying this because, see, Chip's a good guy. There's nothing wrong with him, but people don't like that shit. See, if you're blunt, if you're, you know, just kind of straightforward about shit and don't really bullshit about certain topics and everything, then, you know, there's something wrong with you. You're angry. You're a bad person. This and that. Because people, they like to feel all warm and fuzzy. So they'd rather be around fake motherfuckers, right? People that are gonna just make you feel good, put on fake smiles and shit. You know, I don't know why you would like that or why you would want to be around something like that. People like that don't give two shits about you or anything. They'll stab you in the back in a heartbeat. You know, so grow some thicker skin and learn that people that are upfront and forward about certain things, we're not dicks. We can be, but that's not what it is. I quit being a pussy, basically. Go ahead, Chip.
Well, my big issues that I've been seeing are people talking about bites which you're obviously doing something wrong if you're getting bit and you're not paying attention to your animal. Another thing is I've been seeing photos of 6, 8 foot animals in tubs and drawers that are way outgrown that should not be in there. And even to the person that's never kept an animal before or a snake in their life, they look at that and they go, "That's tiny. Why is that in there? That can't be any way to live." It's common sense, people. Like, treat your animals correctly. You want us to be in a positive light. You know, if someone can't handle a male reticulated python, they're doing something wrong. I use a 14 and a half foot reticulated python that was a breeder for kid shows for years. It was one of the sweetest snakes I've ever owned. My absolute kindest animal that I have in my collection right now is a very big wild caught male. We need to show these animals in the light that they deserve. And if you're showing them in a negative light, you're keeping is either not up to par or you don't know what you're doing. I'm all for rights and everybody able to do what they want. But if you can't keep one of these animals and you're doing it wrong, you shouldn't have it and don't post about it because you make everybody look bad. If you want to learn and if you want to be able to keep these animals, start doing things the right way. Everything's getting used against us. Everything. And it's bad.
It's very bad. And the thing that what trips me out too is so mainly like a lot, on the most part, just about all our pages have the same rules, because we're trying to do better and not give ammunition and this and that and whatever, no bite pics, no feeding pics, or videos and stuff like that. All right, and that's great, and I feel like we shouldn't be doing that, but we can get on a fucking podcast, and I'm not talking about mine because if somebody started talking shit, I would tell them to shut up or I'd boot them off or whatever real quick. But we're not supposed to post shit like that. But we can get on podcasts and we can talk about graphic shit. And some people will say, well, I think a pig or watching a video that's worse than just talking about it. How? So the people that have no clue that may be watching the podcast, the video, and listening to people describe something that happened, their imagination is running with that information. They have all these things popping in their head. It's kind of like reading a fucking book. You know how like a lot of people say that there's movies that are made from a book that's written or whatever. A lot of people say that the book is better than the movie, because you're when you're reading that book, your imagination, your mind is putting all these pieces together. You know what I mean? The mind is very powerful, people. You know what I mean? And how somebody perceives something is different from what others perceive. So it's the same fucking thing, in my opinion. That being said, if people want to get on a podcast or make a video and talk about shit, whatever, I don't think it's good for the hobby. I don't. We don't allow certain things on the internet, on social media, on our pages. We're trying to do better. Use your fucking head because they can use that. They literally can. And why you can't see that or understand that just blows my mind. I mean, like, I'm not no conspiracy theorist type person or not like that. I just know anybody who's been doing this for a long time and that's been dealing. When did the shit start really hitting the fan? In what, 2012?
No, it started hitting the fan in 2010, 2011. It hit the
2010,
fan.
2011. Right. Um, so the shit has been going on. It might be, where you don't hear anything for a while, but it's still going. It's still going, and it's always going to be there, unfortunately. And if we want to do things the right way, I mean, keep these animals legally and stuff like that, we have to do certain things and we have to act a certain way. Is it right? I don't think it is. I think it's bullshit. I'm all about the Constitution and shit. I'm all about your freedoms and everything. So I hate this shit. But unfortunately, you have to do things the right way, and that's up to you as a person to do things the right way or not. But if you're not going to do things the right way, you're just adding to the horse shit that everybody else has had to deal with, you know? And I don't understand why you can't see the big picture of shit, you know? I don't understand that. Some shit's going down with a big breeder. Somebody in the community, it doesn't matter what species you're keeping, should know this person. And if things happen the way I think it might happen, and maybe it won't, maybe somehow it'll get, cooled over or whatever, but it's going to be a shitstorm for the community. And it's just going to get worse because it's going to get press. It's going to be on the news. It's going to be fucked up, and once again, I think we need to do better, just we got to do better. We need to use our heads. We need to come together. Tom, that stuff right there is that does help with the division. I'm always talking about division and how we need to come together. We do. We're all fighting for the same shit. And once again, we don't have to. There's people that I respect. I don't fucking like them, but I respect them. I respect some things that they've done, and I don't have to like them. Maybe I don't like them because of business choices or whatever. But there's a lot of people that I respect, but I don't have to fucking like them. But I'll do my part in whatever I have to do to help us come together. And it's one of those things where it's like nobody gives a shit until something happens. It's great that US Arc is getting members. It's that's awesome. But flashing your silver fucking membership and stuff like that whatever, that's great, but and I don't have the fucking answer. I don't have the answer at all. But things just seem to be getting worse, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't think any of us know what's going to happen.
I agree, and it goes back to my painting the picture. You see a million dogs and cat pictures and cuddling dogs and cats and all this stuff, and people eat it up. If you could show a retic in the same light, might change some minds. I did education for a long time, and I conquered people's fears and ignorances all the time. And I hate the fact that retics still have such a negative light on them coming from even keepers. I interact with my animals. My animals will have a bad day, or I will have done something wrong. I try and understand my animals. And it's part of actually being a keeper and a caretaker and a pet owner. Because if you did what a lot of these keepers are doing to dogs, people would have a shit fit. and we're posting that stuff, and it's terrible. I mean, I'm trying to relate to people as best as possible, but I still see people just wanting to promote themselves and their business and their next clutch. When with everything that's going on right now, you should be trying to promote the animals and how great of a pet they make and how much you enjoy having them, and showing the world that these animals are not to be feared and not, they should be treated like any other pet. But I'm not seeing that.
And you can literally do
And
both.
what?
People can literally do both. You can promote your business and stuff and still promote how great these animals are. But like you said, there's none of that going on. It's just one thing. And at the end of the day, like I always say, people can do whatever the fuck they want to. It's their life. It's their stuff. But people preach about how we're all together and we're trying to make things better, but you're really not, you know? And I mean, I don't like I said, man, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the I can't make anybody do, just like nobody can make me. I have to make up my mind that I want to do something. It's got to be something that's important to me. It's got to I got to be passionate about it if I'm gonna do something. You know what I mean? Like most people. And I don't. The whole thing's about retics and stuff. It's crazy that people in the industry, and I'm talking about people that keep other species of reptiles, will still talk shit about reticulated pythons in 2022. Will still talk shit. Say that they'll bite you and they'll kill you and they're horrible and all this stuff. To this day, in our industry.
Well, I just heard it the other day. My favorite line is, "You got to be a special kind of someone to keep a retic, because I don't know how you can do that." And blah blah blah. It's like, you keep ball pythons, you keep boa constrictors, you keep geckos, you keep monitor lizards, and etc. And you just literally said this about a retic. How? I treat my corn snake the same as I do a retic. They're a larger animal, so adjust how you interact with it. They're a smarter animal. They're more intelligent. A corn snake, and I hate saying it this way because there is an intelligence there, but a corn snake's dumb, I mean, comparatively. A retic is very, very intelligent, knows its surroundings, and knows you, and can, figure you out and everything else like that. But why not learn how to interact with that animal? Why all of a sudden does this reptile keeper have to tell a retic keeper, "Oh, you're some kind of crazy, or you're a special type of person, or I couldn't do what you're doing"? Well, you're making it sound bad.
You know,
You
that's
are.
what we do. Like I pretty much I only keep you know, certain species of animals, but I like all kinds of different kinds of reptiles and animals and shit like that. But at the end of the day, if I don't like something for whatever reason, I'm not going to shit on it. And I'm not going to shit on a person for doing that. That's your love. That's your passion. Who the fuck am I to? Now, it's different if we're friends and we're just cracking on each other. But most of this is not what's going on. It's people that are literally talking down about other people who keep something. And that doesn't it's crazy. And I don't understand because there's people that don't know, they listen to that shit and they take it for the truth, just like Tom's fucking followers. Most of those people do not have any or hardly any experience with large constrictors. But they take it for everything that anybody's saying it's the truth and this is how it's supposed to be. And people don't and can't figure out and don't understand how that causes division and how it just looks fucking bad. If somebody's doing something fucked up and funny and we call them out or something like that, and I don't have an issue with that. And you be like, well, James, isn't that bad for the hobby or something like that? Well, hey, depending on what it is and what's going on, you know, I always talk about how, and not everybody agrees, and that's fine, but I think we should police each other better, you know?
Well, we got all these negative stereotypes basically coming from within because people are witnessing stuff that's posted in these large constrictor groups. There is probably at least 30 other large constrictor groups that aren't on the scale of worldwide or nation. But you've got a lot of terrible keepers in there because other keepers have sold to anybody, and so these other keepers grow up with this mentality and post this ignorant stuff, and it's just a chain reaction because there is no policing of ourselves in the retic community, especially. There's none because whoever's got the cash takes the animal, and you can talk a great game on oh, well, I make sure, and if they have any advice, they can call me, whatever, and I hear it across the board. But then again, like I said in one of the other videos, guys, so there are 5 really well-known named retic breeders sold to a couple of people that are now in prison for life. And they kept them in glass aquariums all together, barely any heat. Most of the animals have died. They were high-end animals, cost a lot of money, and because those people had the cash, those people got the animals. And it's really good when you got a person that's coming to take animals out of a home and post it on the internet because it's their job, and they show all this stuff because all these keepers claim to vet their people they sell to, and they don't. And it happens all the time. And nobody wants to talk about it. And yeah, you could say, oh, you're painting a bad picture. No, I'm trying to make us accountable for our actions to make sure we don't lose these animals and to show the world that these are really great pets and you need to understand them. But does everybody need a 300-pound Mastiff? They're great dogs. They're absolutely wonderful animals. I love them. But if you live in an apartment and you can't take your dog for a walk every day, or you don't have a backyard, or you don't have a farm or a ranch, that Mastiff is going to be miserable. And it's not fair to that animal. So should everyone be able to own one? Yeah. Should everyone? No. And just because someone might have money for a Mastiff doesn't mean that you should sell it to them. Same concept with pythons.
Oh no. Chip. Oh hell. Okay. Well, anyhow, I think Chip is having some difficulties right now. I know up where he's living right now, there is a horrible, horrible blizzard going on right now. Um, but to get back on that, on the subject of what he's talking about and stuff like that, is we should have more accountability. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why that's a bad thing. and I don't understand how anybody could think it's not good for the hobby. Um,
Sorry
Matt,
about that.
are you good?
Yeah, bad weather over here. We're in a snowstorm.
Yeah, I was letting everybody know that you live in a shithole.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. We got a question.
Basically, they're in prison for life for murder, child endangerment, child abuse, sexual child abuse, animal neglect, just a long list of stuff. They both got life. So,
Yep.
yeah. And it's not the only person uh, that has done this. I mean, they had. I'll touch one more time on the people that are prisoners for life. They had over 50 reticulated pythons, from hatchlings all the way up to like a 15-footer. Most of them were dead when they entered the house, but most of the animals were. They're in horrible conditions. In the video, there's like 15 or 20 retics and one enclosure. It was terrible, but
And when you point out that somebody might not be all that great, nobody wants to listen, especially if they're the ones that are receiving money.
exactly. And this was pointed out, and I pointed out on a few different people. Uh,
Holy shit. So, okay. So, if you don't know, Chip lives in a shithole. He lives in North Dakota. I don't, you know, I don't understand how anybody can live there. The weather is horrible. Like 2 days ago, it was like in the 60s and shit. Now it's freezing. There's a fucking blizzard going on, and just that's horrible. Just who the fuck wants to live there? Chip, fucking move, man. God, fucking North Dakota. Where you at, buddy? Chip. Oh, this is great. This is making for great content. There he is. Okay.
sorry. Well, hopefully this works. I changed some stuff up. So hopefully this all works. But anyway, the point is that it's not the only time this has happened with criminals and everything else. And it's I'm just getting tired of seeing this, and then I'm tired of people virtue signaling. You know, they want to talk about USR. That's great. And I fully believe everybody should support that. But if you don't show what you're doing to help make the hobby look better, then you supporting USARK is going out the window, because they're trying to fight for your rights and trying to make sure that everybody knows that, you know, everybody deserves to keep these animals, and these keepers have a right to keep these animals. But when you have people that are part of HSUS and PETA, which their money combined, all of the reptile keepers in the entire country couldn't pull enough money together to be able to combat that. And the only thing you can do is have a common sense judge, or a judge to see that, oh, these people aren't so bad. They keep animals really well. They're responsible. Everything else like that. But I've been preaching it for years, and it's falling on deaf ears, and we're allowing things to happen, and we're allowing misinformation. We're allowing junk science. We're allowing negative publicity to happen, instead of showing how good these animals actually are. And it's driving me up the wall. Because I do a lot of behind the work scene. You know, or behind the scenes work. Sorry. Uh, and I talk to a lot of people. I'm involved in a lot of stuff, and it's just like talking to a brick wall in this community, and it's really, really bothering me. And I talk to certain people, um, and then they don't want to be any part of the community, and they don't want to be associated with any part of the community. And it's not just one or two people. There's quite a bit of, real good keepers, scientists, biologists that have just watched everything go down the tubes because nobody's doing anything about it. So they don't want to put their name and their credibility and lump it in with these people until they see something. And I completely understand that. I was in fisheries biology for a very long time, and it's almost worse than the reptile community when you're going from fisheries biology to sport fishermen. It's kind of the same thing, right along those lines. And nobody wants to hear that because either they won't make money, or they won't get what they want, or they won't get the publicity they want. And it's really sad. We should be thinking about the animals more than ourselves, because if we show that we care about the animals more than ourselves, then it shows that we care about the animals. Kind of weird how that sounds, but that's how it sounds.
Some people who are watching this or will watch this or will watch other videos, and we're talking about the same stuff, and people may wonder, well, why does it bother you so much? Why the fuck would it not? You know what I mean? Like, if you have a true passion about these animals, and hey, let's stop. Forget about just reticulated pythons. All species of reptiles and whatnot. If you have a true passion for these things, and you don't want to. Why do you want the government to be part of your shit? Why do you want the government? Why would you want the government to tell you that you cannot keep something? Why you know what I mean? That doesn't make any damn sense. So that's the reason why we sound and we talk the way we do, and why things bother us as much as they do. And I don't have, like I said, I keep repeating myself, and will continue to do so. I don't have the answers. uh Am I a member of USARC? Yes, I am. And I will continue to, ask people to become members and support however they can. Uh, that's that's what I'm trying to do. And I'll send emails and write our, senators and stuff, because that's all I know to do. If I come up with something else to do that can help, then I'll do that. But I just wanted to touch on that because I know, people have asked, well, why do you let it bother you so much? Well, most of us, I think, have a true passion for these animals. You know, um, whether you're receiving money or what. I mean, do I sell shit? Have I gotten money before? Yes, but I actually, like most of us, we love the animals. We love the interaction, and it would literally break my heart that, I mean, I have two options: to get rid of them or be a fucking felon. I don't want to be a fucking. I don't want to be a felon. And then I can't speak for everybody. I know he has little ones that love the animals. I have two kids, and they've been around this shit all their life, and they love it. They have no idea how spoiled they are. They have no idea, you know, because of the things that they get to see and work with, you know. And I don't want that taken away. That's why we sound the way we sound, and we keep repeating the same shit over and over again, because it's coming. It's coming, and I don't know what the I don't and the only thing I can do, or what I'm trying to do, is spread the word, whether it be through a video, whether it be me typing something, whatever the case may be. And it comes across that some people they don't care. And some of the people that have like these a bigger following, because I ain't nobody, I ain't shit. They don't. Maybe they feel like they're not going to be touched. That they're going to be able to do whatever they want to do for whatever reason. And the hell with everybody else. But and that's fine because I believe in freedom of speech and the Constitution and all that stuff, so you can feel that way and think that way and do whatever you want. But I promise you, if they come in and they take all this shit away, it's going to affect those people at some point in time. It just is. And this, I'm not perfect, and I would hope that if somebody would, if they see me doing something stupid, point it out. That way I don't do it anymore. You know what I mean? Instead of taking everything so wrong, because that's what it is. There's so many people that if you point something out or if you express your opinion, like, hey, maybe you should have said this differently, or maybe you should have, just done something differently, or that doesn't, if the right people or the wrong people look at that, they can use that. They're gonna take that the wrong. Well, they get their feelings hurt and they feel like they're being attacked. And that's not the case, because I would hope that somebody, if I'm doing something, that I would be told, so I can do better, because as a community, we have to fucking do better. Not, I don't know everything. Chip doesn't know everything. Nobody knows everything. So we can learn from each other and we can grow and be better people and be better keepers, and educate, all the new people, our children, and everything else. It's like the wonder that some of the people had when they first got into the hobby is just gone, you know, and maybe it just doesn't matter to them, you know.
I was just about to bring up that point.
I don't know.
30 years of owning and keeping large constrictors. And I didn't care back then about being part of clubs or groups or forums or all that stuff. Um, I come from two different states that are some of the biggest reptile states. I'm not from North Dakota. I live here for work.
Need to move.
I did. But 30 years I watched from time where people would see me have a berm or a retic going, well, those are the biggest snakes in the world. That's nuts. I couldn't do that. And that was about it. That's all that was said. To now, with the internet and YouTube and all these videos, people saying that snake's going to eat you, that snake's going to kill you, all this other stuff. I've been around a lot of different people. I've been around a lot of different communities. I've always had these large constrictors from a very, very young age, along with crocodilians, and that was thanks to who I was with, parents and whatnot. And was it probably the smartest thing back then? But it wasn't a big deal back then either, if you knew where we were from. But I learned to grow with these animals. And even after 30 years of having these, I'm still in awe. I don't look at them as price tags. I don't look at them as commodities. I thoroughly just love interacting and sitting there with them and watching them and studying them and enjoying my time with them and everything else. And I don't see that a lot with people. I see a lot of people using these animals as charms or Facebook likes Or now I can say I have the world's largest snake, when retics don't even get that big. Heard on another podcast just yesterday, one thing that's correct. The United States, at least, a lot of people can claim 20-foot animals. It's maybe 0.01% that actually have them. They just don't get that big. They don't. The interbred genetics in this country, the small size genetics, there's no monster genetics anywhere in this country, really, besides a few places. The misinformation about locality genetics. People have this assumption that retics will hit 20 feet long, or certain localities will hit 20 feet long, and that's just not going to happen. It's astronomical to get to 18 feet. It's even more almost impossible to hit that 20-foot mark.
There are big animals, by all means. There are animals that get 20 foot. And that's not what he's saying. I just want to make sure everybody's understanding what Chip is saying. On the most part, when people think of retic, they think that every retic, and I'm not talking about dwarfs and shit, but they think that every retic is going to be 20 plus foot. And that's not correct. And that's what he's trying to convey.
Yeah, but and it goes back to painting the picture. Famous line in Jaws. Hey, somebody says barracuda, everybody says, huh, what? Somebody says shark, you got a panic on your hands. You say 12 foot, people are like, oh, that's big. You say 20 foot, people freak out. And there's a lot of people that are saying 20 foot all the time. And I'd rather paint the picture of the truth of what these animals actually are capable of and show the reality of the majority of retics and them not be so sensationalized. And it's all about perception. You know, that's why it's hilarious when Tom talks about all these 20-foot retics that never existed, or 25-foot retics that never existed. He dropped names of retics that were proven to not even be 20 feet long. You know, but you're still claiming that on a podcast or a different podcast, but yet there's evidence that was disproven, but you still run with it. And that's ignorant, and that makes everything look bad.
And there's nothing wrong. We're not, we're not gods. We don't think we have opinions and everything, and we have strong opinions, and it's our right to express it however we want to. And I'll do it, and Chip will do it, just like everybody watching this. Y'all have your right to do the same thing, and y'all don't have to agree with anything by no means. And nobody's trying to make you agree with anything. And there's nothing wrong with breeding or selling anything like that. But the way things are now, you really need to think about how. My opinion is that you really need to think about what you're breeding. You know, how much you're breeding. I think everybody can do a better job at making sure that if we do sell these animals, that they're going into the right hands. Um, it's very easy to forget about stuff like that or not do it when there's money in front of your face, you know. But a lot of people say that they do, but they don't, you know. Because I've talked about this, and there's like a book I'm using. There's an imaginary book, and when we're talking about these animals and talking about how we supposed to do, we go by this book, being a PC about everything, and make sure that we're saying everything.
I'm losing your audio.
Well, can you hear me, bitch? Can you hear me now? No? God damn it.
Now it sounds like computer noises.
How about everybody else? Can y'all hear me? Somebody type something, say something down there in the little chat box. If y'all can hear me, or do I sound like hammer dog shit? Huh? Anybody?
It
Yes.
still sounds terrible.
Yes, you can hear me, or yes, I sound like hammer dog shit. Okay, well, they can hear me. We
Okay, I'm gonna jump back out of it then and come back
okay.
in. Keep talking.
Okay, so where the fuck was I saying? So, and when it comes to selling animals and stuff like that, you know, like I said, we say the things that we think sounds good instead of being more forward, being honest, and being truthful about things. Um, because, like we always say, everybody should have the right to own a retic or anything, but not everybody should. And it may be hard, but just because somebody has a lot of cash on them doesn't necessarily mean that we should sell to them. And there's nothing wrong with saying at the end of the day, we as keepers, breeders, and everything like that, we have to make hard decisions sometimes, you know, because we talk about doing what's right and doing better. So instead of talking about the shit, let's do it. You know. That being said, we can't make these are just my opinions and stuff, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to do. And y'all don't have to, I'm nobody. Y'all don't have to do what you don't have to do it. Do whatever the shit you want to, but think about it. If are you harming something that you supposedly like and love? Just do better. We all got to do better. You know, there's too much shit going on. It's right in front of our faces. And this is not no conspiracy theory shit. It's literally happening. And if that shit goes down with that well-known breeder, if all that shit's true about PETA and HSUS being involved, and yes, what can they do? You might go, what can they do? But you know what? If they get people behind them and there's whatever stuff that happens, stuff can happen with that. just just if even if stuff was proven that nothing bad happened, it's still going to be possibly in the news and stuff, and it's going to the perception of it is going to be bad, you know, and people have to understand that. Maybe you don't. Once again, most people don't give a shit about anything until somebody's knocking at the door. Well, motherfucker, they're walking up the driveway, you know, it's coming. We need to do something.
How about this? Since we know we got a few people watching, let's take a couple questions or comments before we end this. We're at about an hour and 15 minutes. If anybody has got a question or a comment or a concern, why don't you go ahead and I'll be sure to answer with very, very honestly and bluntly. You might not like my answer, but I'll give it to you.
Anyone? Yeah, but I don't know. Uh, and I'm hoping that by the next video, whether it's just me or it's Chips doing it with me or whatever the case may be, that next video I will be in the snake building. Um, we're doing painting, moving stuff around, and with work and everything is going very, very slow. So until everything's done 100%, I will continue to probably do uh, my videos in the living room or somewhere else outside of the snake room. Just letting everybody know that.
Well, there's going to be multiple bills. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This isn't going away. Like I said in previous videos, the moment we completely shut down the Lacey Act, for interstate transport, they were going to come after us hard because Lacey Act doesn't just affect reptiles. Like I said, I was in fisheries for a long time, and the Lacey Act is a very, very, very good thing. The problem is special interest groups and hasty junk science was put into putting these animals on there nationwide when it should have just been for Florida. So it's not just only going to be special interest groups, but United States Wildlife Service, U.S. Forest Service, and Fish and Game are all going to try and sneak bills in consistently until Lacey Act is back in full swing. In all reality, we really need to try and get those animals off the Lacey Act, get good science in there, and until that happens, we just got to keep fighting.
Scott
has had a hard on for him for years. He is over in Europe. He posts really terrible videos in horrible situations with kids. I do not support that, especially with how young the children are and large constrictors. But Scott will always bring him up.
I mean, it's good and bad at the same time, in my opinion. It shows great interaction with these animals that we talk about and whatnot. But at the end of the day, no, I don't care. This is my opinion. At the end of the day, that gentleman can do whatever the shit. Those are his animals. Those are his children, I believe, and he can do whatever. More power to those people. I think it's good and bad. Just for the simple fact, my opinion is that I don't care how well you can read your animals or how well you say you know your animals. I mean, because I feel like I can read these animals very well. I feel like you can give me a wild caught animal and let me spend a little bit of time with it, and I'll be able to read that animal and handle it. I don't care how big it is. Not trying to be cocky or anything like that. It's just that I'm confident in my ability. That being said, but it's still something could go wrong. I don't care how good you are or what you know. And when you're dealing with children, I don't know. I know I can't chance it. And even though that you're there, you're right there. You can say, well, I'm right there. So if something happens, it only takes a split second. We know how fast these animals can move. That's just my opinion. And people will be like, what about you, James? You have pictures of your children, stuff like that. Well, yes. And, my boys I have teenagers. I have a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old. And they only allow them to deal with certain animals. They got, I don't let them, I have animals that are large and that I feel like wouldn't do anything, but still they're not allowed to even mess with those. And, I have to be out there with them, but whatever. That's enough on him. That gentleman, like I said, he, more power to him. Let him do whatever shit he wants to. Hopefully nothing bad ever happens. So
I believe that kids on up to a certain age can interact. My littlest one does not interact with my bigger stuff, simply for the fact that, as everybody knows, kids are grabby. They don't know how to handle things correctly, and that can agitate an animal and really spook an animal, and something could happen. So until they're at a certain age, and until I show them correctly and they can comprehend everything, I don't allow anything with the big snakes until a certain time. For her, how can we get them removed? Basically, the United States Geological Survey is the one that pretty much put the junk science forward, bought off by special interest groups. Until you can get AZA, USGS, Fish and Wildlife, and accredited biologists to confirm that these animals are not going to be invasive to any place else other than Florida, they will never be removed from the Lacey Act. It's plain and simple. The government will only take accredited zoos, their own government entities, science to remove something. They won't just take any herpetologist or biologist off the street. Even if USARC provided it, it would have to go through the government uh, and their researchers to determine. So until the researchers either start telling the truth or they're replaced by somebody that will, those animals will never be removed, even if they are petitioned to. That's basically the short answer. It goes a lot more in depth, but that's the gist of it. As for the second one, I do everything by myself. I have no issues with my animals. I have no help with my big snakes. I've been doing it that way forever. If you're not confident with your animals, you need to learn them a little better. Uh, if you've got such an animal that's out of control that you need a second person there, and you can't read the animal, and you're an adult, in my opinion, maybe that animal isn't for you. But these animals, in my opinion, once you get to know them and you can read them, I've been doing it for so long. I'm not dead. I've got a lot of large animals. I can see when they're having a bad day. I can see when they don't want to be messed with. I am paying attention at all times. Uh, Kids, on the other hand, completely different. Always be with the kids or someone that doesn't know anything around about them. But if these are your animals and you're keeping them and they are large, you're not confident enough to read your own animal by yourself, either start learning the animal a little better, maybe move away from it, because they do pick up on nervousness, they do pick up on hesitation, um, and if you read something wrong, then something can happen.
And whether you and the whole thing about it is, it's not, it's wrong to say that I do it by myself or whatever the case may be. But even if you do it by yourself or if you have somebody, you should always have protocols, which I know Chip has certain things in place if something does go left, just like I do. Um, and everybody should have some type of protocol. Maybe have several in place in case something does happen. Um, Hopefully, nothing ever does, but that's always a good practice. Um, Anything else? Anybody? Well, I'm gonna say this. So, I think we're probably, we've been doing this what almost hour and over 20 minutes. I know Chip's busy; he's got stuff to do. I have stuff to do as well. Um, thanks, thank you for your support. All the subscribers that we have. Um, Subscribe, get people, hit the like button. I would really appreciate it if y'all would hit the like button. Hit the bell, share videos, that kind of thing. It helps us out. Um, you can always send us messages and on Messenger or whatever like that if there's topics you want us to talk about. If there's people you would like to see, um, or whatever the case may be, let us know, and we'll try to make it happen. Um, and and the last thing, but the most important, um, what is it we got? Do you think the large snake ownership will go away? It could. It very much, it could. We don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, it doesn't. Um, I hope it doesn't. But like I was saying, the last thing, um, U.S. art is very, very important. Um, Support them. Become a member. I always, if you're at a show and you see a table, give them $1. If you can't afford the membership, everything. Talk to other people to become a member. Buy a T-shirt if you can. All that, all anything that you can give them helps fight for us. Memberships help. You know, uh, we need a numbers help, buddy. That's all I'm trying to say. So, um, and that's all who we got. They're the ones that are fighting for us, and they need our help. And I know a lot of people may not. There's people that don't agree with them and stuff like that. And if you have a better way, then say something. You know, let's implement it. You know,
Get on USART's YouTube channel and subscribe to them and listen for updates.
exactly. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, Chip. Almost forgot all about that. Yes, like Chip said, USARC now has a YouTube channel. Go subscribe to them. Okay, hit the bell so you know when a video is coming up and whatnot, and support them that way. That being said, I think thank y'all for everybody for being here and whatnot. We're gonna call it a day. Send us a message if you want us to talk about something. All right. Thank y'all.
Have a good day.
Bye.